Hello and welcome to today's European SharePoint Office 365 and Azure Community webinar. My name is Shane and I'm delighted to be joined by Christina Wheeler, MVP, Principal Solution Architect, Canvas USA, who will be talking to you today about extending teams with Power Apps, Power Automate and Power BI app template solutions. Remember to join in the conversation about today's webinar on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @EuropeanSP and our hashtag is ESPC21. Don't forget to check out the Resource Center. This is updated daily with the latest blogs, ebooks, webinars, and how-to videos. Simply visit sharepointeurope.com and click the content link at the top. ESPC21 Online will take place on the 1st and 2nd of June 2021. To be a part of this event, simply register today for free. We have just announced our keynotes and full details are at sharepointeurope.com. After the webinar, we will have a questions and answers session. Type any questions you have in the questions window. Questions will be selected and answered at the end of the presentation. This webinar will be recorded and added to the Resource Center where you will be notified by email when it is available. And now I'm going to pass you over to our webinar presenter, Christina Wheeler. Hello, Christina.
Hello, Shane. Thank you very much.
I can see your screen, so take it away.
Good. Thank you. All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Christina Wheeler. Here we go. Let me get situated there. There we go. My name is Christina Wheeler. I'm a Principal Solution Architect at Canvas Consulting, Microsoft MVP. I am a developer, graphic designer. I pretty much wear every hat, hence why I'm a solution architect. I was a SQL DBA. I have a passion for business intelligence. I love writing apps. So I'm very excited about the presentation that I'm doing today for you. You can find me on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me. You can also find me on Twitter. And I also have an email address that you can reach out to me on. I've created one specifically for events like this. That way you have a dedicated space to email me so it doesn't get lost within my other work emails and so on. And let's get started. Okay, the agenda for today is I'm going to talk about the Microsoft 365 Developer Program. I'm going to cover apps and teams, what kind of apps can be deployed in teams. I'm going to also talk about Microsoft Teams app templates, Teams and the Power Platform, as well as do some demonstrations today of some awesome Power Platform app templates. And I also have some resources for you. Before I get started in talking about apps and teams, one of the things I want to talk about is there is a Microsoft 365 Developer Program that you could sign up for, and it's free. This is a great way. I use it. I have a couple different developer tenants that I use for prototyping, testing, because I don't want to affect my production environments. I have my, my work Canvas environment, I have customer environments, and I don't want to mess those up. So what I do is I have a sign up for the developer program, and then I use that sandbox environment so that I can play around. I want to deploy these app templates that I'm going to show you today. This is a great way for you to get hands-on and to learn without affecting your environment. So the cool thing is you can just sign up. You can go to that link, and I'll have the link at the end of the slide as well. Now, just to let you know, it is a renewable 90-day subscription, and it auto-renews. And it auto-renews based on usage. So if you're actually using it, it will auto-renew. But if all of a sudden you don't use it for a period of time, I don't know how long it is, it tracks your usage, and if you're not using it enough, it will expire. But like I said, I've had it for over a year now, and it works great. So that's what I highly recommend, especially if you want to play around with some of the stuff I'm going to demonstrate today. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is apps and teams. There are different types of apps that you can deploy in teams. And the first one is Microsoft apps. Microsoft apps are apps, many of them you're already working with. There's 50 available. When you create a Teams team, it automatically creates a SharePoint site. It leverages OneDrive, OneNote, and so on. And so those are all the Microsoft apps that you can work with. The second option here is third-party apps. Third-party apps are apps similar to like you have on the phone, right? You have the phone. If you want to install apps, you install it and you have the app store. I have an iPhone. Teams has an app store. Teams has an app store where there's third-party apps where some of them are free and some of them are paid, and some of them just leverage your existing enterprise licenses. These are great, and many people aren't aware. I have customers that are using ServiceNow for their help desk support or for other types of, ticketing system. And many aren't aware that there is a virtual agent bot for ServiceNow that you can use that would leverage your existing enterprise licenses. So let's say if, instead of someone having to open a ticket, you can have this bot interact with people, have, questions. They say, oh, I'm having this problem. The bot responds with potential, additional questions they answer. And then a lot of times the bot can provide them with a result that's going to solve their problem. And if it doesn't solve the problem, then the bot can open a ticket. So that's something that's pretty cool to look at. And then the third option you have is deploying custom apps. Now, for the custom apps, you have unlimited possibilities. And your custom apps gives you the ability to help with business processes, help with productivity, employee services, approvals and workflows. And you have different options for this one. So one of them is you can build your apps from scratch. If you build your apps from scratch, this would be things such as bots, tabs, messaging extensions, surfacing graph. Then another one is app templates. App templates provides low, no-code solution options. These are pre-built templates that Microsoft has been releasing, which I'm going to, there's many different ones that are really cool. Messaging extensions, bots, and there's about 9 of them that are part of the Power Platform. And the ones I'm going to focus on today are the ones that are part of the Power Platform. So then, of course, the other option is Power Platform. So there's Power Platform templates, app templates available, which I'm going to show you today. And then, of course, you can create your own Power Platform solutions, which would include Power BI, Power Apps, Flow, which is Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents is another one, which I actually forgot to add to this slide. So what I want to talk about today is Teams and the Power Platform. So in Teams, before when Teams was released and you had the Power Platform, everything was separate, right? If you created a Power App, you weren't surfacing it in Teams. Created a Power BI report, you were going to the Power BI workspaces. So you were going to all these different services, including SharePoint, right? Or not SharePoint, but yes, so Power BI, Power Apps, and so on. There was no really out-of-the-box integration with Teams. And the product group has done a really good job. Oops, hit my mic, sorry about that. The product has done a really good job of integrating all these different services now within Teams. And I will say it's getting better and better. And so I have a passion for working with Teams and a passion for working with the Power Platform. So what you're able to do is you're able to build your solutions, automate your processes, and have it in a way where your users are surfacing all of it directly within Teams. So that way you have this nice experience for them without them having to leave Teams. So they're able to do their job directly within Teams. So what I want to talk about here is the Microsoft Teams app templates. Now, Microsoft has these pre-built templates that gives you a plug and play experience. And you can go to this website link here. And if you go to the link, you'll have access to all these different templates. And these are just some of them that are available. And let me go to the website now. Oops. Okay. So what you can do is you can just look for Teams app templates. Okay. So if you do a search for Teams app templates or go to that URL, you have all these different app templates here. And this keeps growing. When I first started working with these app templates, there were about 3 or 4. And now this list is growing and growing. And when you go look at these app templates, you're going to see a bunch of different kinds. Many of them are a bot, a messaging extension, or something like that that is part of the Teams extensibility platform. But then there's also ones that are Power Apps. For example, Associate Insights. And so what you'll see here is you can go and find all these different app templates. See which ones interest you. And then if you want to deploy it, you would click Get It on GitHub. And then this will take you to the GitHub repo for that template. which will provide information, including a document guide, which will give you instructions for doing the installation. Each one of these two will have a breakdown telling you what it consists of. And of course, this one has a Power App, it's using SharePoint, and also has a Power BI report. So you go through the steps, you deploy it, and go from there. So this is something I highly recommend checking out. So now there's, like I said, there's about 35 or more. It continues to grow. But the ones I'm going to focus on today are all of the Power Platform Team app templates. So far, currently, here's the list of the app templates that are part of the Power Platform. And these all vary, like Classroom drop-in here. This was intended for educators and schools. E-prescriptions is intended for the medical field. And then you have other things like staff check-ins, which is actually intended for frontline workers. But what you can do, like I mentioned, is you can go into each one of these app templates, take a look at what they're intended for, and see if it's of interest of you to deploy and check it out. And now the thing with these is you get the whole solution, you can deploy it as is, or you can modify it. So you can deploy this and say, you know what, I want this Power App to do a little bit more, or I want to change it a little bit. It's all yours. You have the capability of doing that. So what it is these app templates are a starting point for you. And this is the same for the bots and the messaging extension and all of the other app templates that are available. The purpose of these are so you can work on this without having to start from scratch. Okay, so first one I'm going to show you and talk about is the Incentives app. The Incentives app is a great one this is a Power App template. Provides a way so that you can manage and track incentivized employee participation for different activities. So for this Power App, there's two different screens. You'll have a home screen and an admin tool screen. And who sees the screen and has access to it is if the person logged in that's looking at the app is part of the admin group, they would actually see the link for the admin tool. Then if it was a regular user, they would just actually have the app itself with no links here. So you have your admins that can designate activities, set the points for completion, and specify the different rewards. Then you have your employees that would actually just be in here using the app to accumulate points and to redeem the points. This template has two main components. It has a Power App template, which is a Canvas app, and then it has a SharePoint site with custom lists. And so the SharePoint site is using custom lists for the data storage. So the users aren't going to go into SharePoint to access the data. They're just going to interact with that data directly in the Power App. And then the SharePoint lists are what's going to be used. Okay, so let me make sure I get to the right screen here. Move my thing, there we go. Okay, so I have this Incentives app deployed. Whoops, hold on. I've got a couple different demos for you guys in multiple different tenants. Actually, what I'm going in here now, I'm going in this, this is my developer tenant that I'm in now. And in this, I have deployed the Incentives app. And I deployed the Incentives app, and in here, I went ahead, it is a Power App. So if I go to Power Apps here, go to Apps, let me just put this in alphabetical order. I have Incentives. So if I click on Incentives, you're going to see here's the app here. What it is I have this app, but I added this app to Teams because what you have the ability to do, and I'm not going to show you how to integrate all of this. The purpose of this is to introduce you to these app templates, let you know what you have available, and that you have deployment instructions that you can follow to deploy these. And then what I want to show you is these different ones that I have deployed to show you how cool they are and what you can work with. So any integration side, I just might touch on it lightly real quick, but I'm not going to show you how to integrate it. That could be a whole other session. Okay, so I have the Incentives app. When I clicked Add to Teams, it would give me a zip file, and in there, then I would actually go into Teams. So I go into Teams here, and when you go into Teams, you have your apps. And when you have your apps, this is going to give you the App Store. And this will be everything from Microsoft apps, third-party apps, and any custom apps that have been deployed into your environment. And in the top here, you'll see I have built for PBI 365. PBI 365 is my tenant name. And on here, I have the incentives app that was deployed. And what I did was just downloaded it, had the zip file, uploaded it, deployed it. So then I have it. And since I have the app, then I had the ability to add it to a team. Well, I already have it to a team, but I can add this to multiple teams if I wanted to, or add it to an additional chat. I've got two places here too. You can also pin the apps. So what I've done here is I've got it where I have the app and I actually had it here and I pinned it to the navigation bar. And so when you have the pinned app like this, instead of it being in a Teams tab of a Teams channel, it's just an app here that's running standalone within Teams. But let me go back into Teams here. And what I have here is I have a Teams team called Office Space. I'm just using the general channel. And in here, I have an incentives tab here because when I had it add to a team, when you add it to a team, it'll create the tab for it. And so here we go. And I'm logged in as the administrator. So since I'm logged in the administrator, I see home and admin tool. I'm going to go ahead and log in as a different persona real quick. Whoops, I changed the password. Give me one sec. I'm going to log in as Tony Stark. For any of you that are Marvel fans, I'm a big Marvel fan. Okay, so I'm going to go here, and now I'm logged in as Tony Stark, who is he's just an employee of this app. He's not an admin of this app. So what I'm going to do now, I've got, here's the app here, and I'm in a different Teams and channel here, but it's still using the same app. So it doesn't matter. I can, like I mentioned, I can have this app in multiple places. But now I'm logged in as Tony Stark, and you'll notice as Tony Stark here, I do not see the admin tools here, right? I don't have the link for home and I don't have the link for admin tool. So I'm just the employee here that I can work with this. Okay. All right, so going back. So now that I'm the admin, here's what I can do. I can go into the admin tool, and this is where I can manage, and this is all leveraging the SharePoint list. So going here, I can say, okay, here's my activities. So I have different activities here. I've got one here, attend ESPC webinar. I'm giving it 150 points. I've got an end date for this incentive. And then you have to give each one of these an incentive code. And the incentive code is what you would actually give to your employees saying, okay, if you attend this, you can earn rewards. Here's the incentive code. Once you complete this, then you can go ahead and submit that. And so going here, they would copy this and be able to submit for the rewards. Then the other thing I have here is what awards do I want to allow them to redeem? Trash day. Okay, so here I got the rewards. And so, oh, the trash is here. Okay, give me, the trash is here. That's awesome. Okay, so here I've got the rewards. I've got different reward types. I've got GitHub, Grubhub, Best Buy. Best Buy is a very big electronics store in the US, Uber Eats. And I can click to add an award. You give it a name. You would allocate how many points you want to allow for that award. And then you attach the file, that image you would want to use. So then, and then if someone submits an award, I would have that award show up here to approve the award, and then I can adjust the points. So let's say I just wanted to submit it for myself. I went ahead and put in the incentive code, and then I did, and it's telling me, congratulations, I've earned this points. And because I'm the admin, I can go and approve this myself. But if I go back into, there we go. So now it showed up on the leaderboard. Here, I've got points to redeem. Okay, now it's showing me how many points to redeem. So I haven't redeemed anything yet. And if I want to redeem, this is what the user would do too. I can click on here. I can see here's all the rewards available, and here's how many points I can redeem. Now, and the cool thing about this Power App is it's only going to make available based upon your points. Well, I only have 150, so I can't cash in the Best Buy one. So that doesn't become available for me to select. But I want to go ahead and I'll cash in the Uber Eats one. Here, if I do that, it's going to suck up all my points. Or if I uncheck that one and I want to do Grubhub, then I'll have 50 points left. I'll go ahead and click redeem. And then when I click redeem, what happens is that's when the approver, which of course is me at the moment, can go in and see the awards that have been submitted. And then I can decide, okay, I want to approve this for Christina, which is me, of course, and I'll go ahead and approve. And then if I approve it, then I don't have a flow on this right now, but what I would do is actually modify this or enhance it, have a flow. So that way the approver or whoever needs to give that, actually purchase that Grubhub thing to give it to me, right? I would have that in place, okay? So that's one example. That's the incentives app. Another one I want to talk about is the visitor management app. The visitor management app is a Power App solution, and this is a good one that's used to manage visitor requests through visitor dashboards, and you can have a flow with this. And so you can see here, it can say, okay, especially in the times we're living in now, you know, companies are starting, I don't know about where you guys are at, but here in the US, some companies are allowing people in the office, but they're limiting the amount of people that come in. And they might allow visitors to come in, but they really need to track all of this now, especially more now than ever. So what it is though, here you can have this as an app to track visitors and put in requests saying, hey, we need this visitor to come in on this date and this time, and then you can go and approve it. So this visitor management app leverages Power Platform, it uses Power Automate, and it also uses a SharePoint list. Oh, it wants to refresh here, hang on. Okay, so I've deployed this one and I just created this. So I've got the visitors app. Let me go here. So there's this one also created. This one uses Flow. So I've got the visitors app. Then I also have the, let's go to management here. Where did I put it? There we go, visitor management. So I have this app deployed. I actually have it in this under management here. So I go to visitor management here. And if I click on it, here's where this is the Power App, and this has a couple different Power Apps to it. But I say, okay, I want to create one. I'm going to have a new visitor come in. You'll see here I have a visitor visit that was submitted. I can click here to edit. So I can say, okay, what location is it? And on the admin side, you can put in all your locations and any other information you want. So here I've got Tony Stark. He is coming from UGA, wants to come today at 1500 hours and meet to discuss Avengers next movie, right? And so then can click on there. So that's been confirmed. I can go and create a new request here and put in that information. So Power App, this is leveraging, let me put in a new one. So Kirkland, Washington, I'll do Seamus, who is my awesome dog. Organization, I'll just say solo. Sure, why not? Today we'll say come tomorrow at 9 a.m. Needs more dog bones. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and submit this. And when I submit this, I have this submit success message here. And what's going to happen is there's going to be a flow that's going to end up running in the background. And you'll see here, I've got the request here. It shows it's pending. And then if I go here into visitor management security, the flow should be running. What happens is it might have a delay at the moment, but what'll happen is the flow will run. Then what should be showing up here shortly is the actual request. So that way here, as the approver, I can go in and improve this directly. Okay, so that's having it instead of having to go directly within Flow. Here we go. So here it is. So it popped up now. I see I have a new request. Here's the host name, the visitor name, and so on. And then I can decide to confirm this if I confirm it. So this is updating the Flow. I'm leveraging Flow directly within here without having to go into the Flow interface here to approve. So this is the cool thing about having Flow integrated into Teams, because what you can do, what this does and what you can do on your own too, the flow that you deploy for this has an action and a connector to Teams where it pushes this action or this flow into this Teams channel, and you can target that. And there are steps to show you how to do that. So when you deploy these, you deploy the Power App, you deploy the flow, it's going to tell you everything to do, and it's going to tell you how to tie that in. Oh, now I get a message here. Okay, great. So there's the flow send card there too. So that's having that integrated in. And pretty cool stuff, I think. All right, let's go back to my presentation. So that's the visitor management one. But another one I want to talk about is the Business Access app. The Business Access app is another good one. And this one, I think, too, the use case on it is, once again, like I said, you've got employees, some organizations allowing employees to come back to work, to the office, but doing it on a limited scale. So this is a great one, especially during this time right now, because what you can do is you can actually manage, track, and report employees on site and allow people to go in and say, okay, you know what, I want to go to this building, during this part of the day and so on. And so you could set it up to what you want your max occupancy to be, what the percentage is on what you want to auto approve, and then, or you can, have it where you have to approve every single one. And so that way you can control who and how many you want to allow within your buildings and floors and so on. The other thing that you can put in is safety precautions in the app and eligibility questions. So let's say they want to, you'd set up a building, and for your building, you'd say, okay, I want these eligibility questions to be applied. So when the person puts in the request, they will be forced to answer questions. And so you can answer questions like, typical COVID questions or something like that you can define. So that way they can answer the questions. If they meet the criteria and they're okay, approved, they can come in. If not, then they could have a message that you can customize as well. So what this is this is also leveraging Power Apps, Power Automate, SharePoint, Office 365 users, and Teams. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go back to my other tenant. So I have, there's a couple different tenants I have, and the reason why I'm demoing in a few, because one of them required me to have an actual Azure subscription. Other ones didn't, it just depends. So this is why I'm switching between the two. Okay, so what I'm doing here is, did I put in this one? Give me 1 second. Okay, so let me go back to this one real quick. All right, so you see I have the different Power Apps, so this one is the building. Which one did I put it in? All right, let's go back to here. Oh, building access. I did do it in this tenant. Okay, so building access, the Power App. I deployed the Power App, and if I click on here, same thing. I've got this embedded directly within here within Teams. And so here I said, okay, I've got my new request. I can create a new request, and then if I do, right now I only put one building in this app. What's my reasons for the access? To use temporary or, business reason, internet out at home, need to work in office. So I'm putting in, okay, what is my business reason for needing to access? In here, I could say, one, do I need to come in? Do I want to do the full day? Or do I want to pick a time slot? And this is all stuff you modify too. Now, I don't have the time here. I should have put that, so I can easily modify that as the admin. But I say, oh, I want to be here in the morning. And then I could say, okay, what space? And in there, I have the spaces defined, and it's showing me there is availability. Now, on the admin side of it, if I go to the general security here, whoops, not visitor, wrong one. Let's go to business admin, building admin. There's two different Power Apps. There's a Power App that's used for the employees, and then there's a Power App used for the admins. And of course, since I'm the admin, I'm accessing the admin team and channel. And here's where I see where I have the Power App where I can actually manage everything. So here I can manage the buildings, and right now I only have one, but I can add additional buildings. And then let's go back to home. I can set up, what are the eligibility questions? You can define all that. And then the settings. So there is settings here, and this is where, and all this is in the instructions, because what happens is I'll say, okay, when I've got my, building admin team. So you're having to put in information, but maximum days in advance requests can be made. I could say 14, or maybe I want to change this to 7. You can only book, 14 days, or maybe we want to do 3 or something, right? All this is customizable for you. So, and this is Power App. And so I can go ahead and save that, save and next. Here's my slots. And so right now I have morning, but I could say morning, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. or something like that. And then afternoon, so I'm setting this up, you say 12 p.m. to, 3 p.m. and maybe all day or something. So you can set up your slots. And so I'm managing this, and this is updating the SharePoint lists that are being used. So then if I go back into the actual app here, where I was putting in the requests, save and next. Now if I choose my dates, now I see that it updated. So I updated, right, the time slots, and now I'm the regular user in the Power App, and here I see that updated. So like I said, this is using Power Apps, and if I were to submit this, there is a flow behind the scenes to to do the approval for all this and so on. And this is all the stuff that you implement into your tenant. Okay, so that is the Building Access app. And let's go back to here. So that's the Building Access app. Now, here's the other one I want to show you that I'm really excited about. This one is Request a Team. And this one has an extremely good use case because one of the common problems I see, or the common concerns organizations have, is governance. How they don't want just everybody to be able to create a Teams team. Or I have organizations where they, started working with teams, and now everything's got out of control because they have all these different teams created. And so now they're coming back saying, Christina, how can we lock this down? How can we prevent people from just being able to create a Teams team? Is there a way we can automate this? And my answer to this now is implementing this Power Platform template for requesting a team. So what this template allows you to do is to automate the team creation process. I'm excited about this one. I've tested it. It works beautiful. So when you deploy this, it's going to have a couple different things. It's going to have a Power App template, which is a Canvas app. We'll have 3 screens for approved requests, my request, and request a team. It will leverage Office 365 users because you will have administrators and then your regular employees. There's also 2 flows. For one of them is for checking the team availability, and another one is for the team request approval. So what'll happen is in the screen, when you can go and check to see if the actual name is available or not. So there's a flow that runs to check that. Then it'll show if it's available or not. If it is, then you can continue. And then there's templates too that you can choose from. So there are SharePoint lists, 3 of them that are used. One of them is to hold the team requests. Another one is you have to have certain settings for this app. And then the third one is having a list of Teams templates so that the app's going to use that you want to leverage. And then there's also some logic apps on the Azure side. So what happens is the first part of this is going to be the form for people to submit a request to create a Teams team. Then there's going to be the flow to check the team availability, and then the flow to submit the request approval process. So that side happens. Then what happens is there's a logic app that you have logic apps that get implemented. There's 2 of them here. One of them is to process the team request. So the logic app here is being used. So once it's approved, then this is on a time interval that you can update that is also in the instructions. But once it's approved, then this logic app will run, which is a logic app flow, so that it can actually run the process to actually create the Teams team. Now there is some time involved on this, and I do have this working. The other thing you'll have is some connections, and all this is part of the setup. So you have some PowerShell you would run with instructions and setup on how to do it. This is the one I had to deploy in my tenant with the Azure subscription because logic apps require an actual Azure subscription. So I couldn't deploy this one in the developer tenant because I don't have an active Azure subscription in the developer tenant. So that's why you're going to see that demonstrated here. The other thing, like I said, I'm not showing you how to integrate this stuff, but one thing that I did come across when I was integrating this app template is there's instructions, and I'm going to raise the issue on GitHub so that way they'll correct it, Microsoft will correct it, and I'm working with the product group on trying to help improve these apps. So, because I've been the one that's going in and implementing these things and testing, and as you know, Microsoft changes things, right? You have things change on the Power Platform side, or different things, graph, you name it. And so these if you go to implement any of these and you run into a problem, you can raise the issue on GitHub. You can also are welcome to reach out to me and I can help you get through it, or I can also help. I can raise that issue with the for the product group as well. So, but what happened was, in the instructions, it has you run this commandlet to do unrestricted, and before you used to be able to do that, but now a lot more things are locked down in Windows 10 and so on. So what happens is you'll get an error, and so all you have to do is run the PowerShell for the scope of the current user, and then it'll work. And so these are things that I ran into, and like I said, this isn't updated in the instructions, but I'm going to give you these slides. So if you do decide to implement this one, you'll actually have this, so you'll know what to do. Okay, so let's go request a team. And this is the one that I said I had to deploy in my environment where I actually have an Azure tenant. So now I'm in my different tenant at the moment to show you this. And so what I have is, I've got this Power Up. And actually, let me go to my, which persona did I do it in? I did it in, give me 1 second, I'm blind. Where is it? Christina, okay. So what happens is you'll need to have a service account. And I actually had another account that I used to deploy this Power App, but actually I can't find it right now. So, but then what I did is I used a different one. Oh, I did make me an owner, so I can go in here. Give me 1 second. So I did make myself an owner of this. Let me go to Power Automate, and I'll also go to Power Apps. So I deployed the solution using a service account or using a different account that I wanted to act as a service account. And then what I did is I went in and made myself an owner. So I have this request a team. It's one Power App. So if I go in here to click on it, here's where I'm going to be prompt. And then this is the app that I went ahead and added to my team's team. So then if I go here, I've got request a team. Let me close my email. Okay, I got request a team, and going in here, this is it. This is the app. And I am part of the admins. So since I'm a part of the approvers, I'm going to see the links to approve request. But if I was logged in as, oh no, actually, I'm sorry. This is actually just to see, doesn't matter. You don't have to be an admin. That's right, my bad. But so I can say, okay, here, I want to see all the approved requests. I want to see my request here, and I want to request a team. So I can request a team here, and I can decide if I want to build a new one from scratch or create one from a template. If I create one from a template, I'll get prompt here, and this is actually pulling from the SharePoint list. So there's a SharePoint list with the team's templates. I could say, oh, you know what, maybe I want it departmental. And as I change it, you're going to see this change. Then I can click next. Okay, I want to use the template. What's the visibility? Do I want to make it private or public? I'll go ahead and make it private. Then I can say, okay, next. Then I can check the availability. So this is where I can say, okay, I'm going to give it a team name. And so in this case, I'll call it Business Solutions. And what'll happen is when I click on check availability, this is going to kick off the flow that is going to, this is going to kick off a flow. Whoops, shared with me. Kick off a flow to check team availability. So I can go back to here. Check availability. This is kicking off that flow. Sorry, team name is taken. So if I go into this flow here, I should see that I have 5 seconds ago this ran and it succeeded. So if I click on here on the flow, I'm going to see that it went ahead here, check the availability, checks to see if the site exists. I'll get results, right? And it's going to have the response and says, okay, yes, it does exist. So then it's going to respond back here to the Power App from the flow. So it says, oh, team name is taken. So let's try another name. I'll do ESPC demo. Oh, name is taken. Let's do Seamus demo. Check availability. Okay, now it's telling me the team name is available. So if I go back here to my run history, refresh, there you go. So you saw that I checked against one name, wasn't available, checked against another, wasn't available, checked again, and then it was available. So if I go back in the flow here, I should go ahead and see in the results, response here. You see all that in there, okay? So that's using that flow. Then I can put in a description, a business reason, testing, request a team. Oh, what's this used for? Team for awesome Seamus. Because he's my awesome puppy. Okay, business reason. What am I doing here? You know what? I'm testing this. We're testing request a team. Okay, so I'm testing that. Then I'll click next, and then it's going to give me an option here. I need to go ahead and set some owners. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and set first off my main account. I don't have a lot of licensed users in this tenant, so then who do I want the owner to be? Maybe I'll have Tony Stark be an owner here. And then I can say, okay, I can go ahead and add members on here as well if I wanted to, or I could just submit it like this. Now you see it's requiring me to have 2 owners for this submission, but I do have a Surface Hub account, so I might go ahead and add that as well. And then I'll click next. And then when I click next, here I have where I can review my submission before I submit it. Okay, so I'll go ahead and go here. So, okay, add members, review and submit. If I submit here, the team you requested is waiting for approval. You can check the status in my request. So here I'm going to go ahead and check the status. It takes a moment to show up. If I go here, I can see, okay, here's this request that has been submitted. I could click to view the details here. So there it's been submitted. And so behind the scenes, what's happening now is I've got this other flow that's running. Go back. Oh, let me just go back to here. So if I go back to other flows, I've got this team request approval flow running. And so I see here, I've got this one running right here. So this one is running, and what it's doing is going through, it's going to get some settings, it's going to check to see, so it's going through this process here. And the cool thing is, like I said, I think this connector is in preview at the moment, but what it is, you have the ability to connect to Teams now and post to Teams. So in this flow, it's posting an adaptive card to Teams to the channel waiting for a response. So what's going to happen here, if I go back to here and request a team, I have requested team admins here, and here we go. So now I'm going to see some requests that have come in. So I've had one that came in yesterday or earlier that there was a test team one. Do I want to approve or reject it? Maybe that one I'll go ahead and reject, and I can give a reason why, but it's not required. So here I'm responding to the flow directly within my Teams channel. So I'm not having to go to the flow service. And so here's the request. You saw that I created a request for Seamus demo. You'll see here, okay, description information, and I can decide to approve it. Okay, I can approve that, and it's good to go. So what's happened is if I go back to this run history here, there we go. So now this flow has processed, and then this is where the logic app comes into place. So I'm going to go to my Azure tenant. So just to show you real quickly. So I'm going back in Azure, and I have a resource here, which is what I named it for the deployment. So in here is where I have my logic apps, like I mentioned, and the API connections. And so if I go to the process team request, this is the logic app, and this is the next thing that's going to process. So if I were to click on edit, I'll just edit it so you can see real quickly. This is what's going to happen now. So I've got, okay, this is the next thing that's going to run, and this is where it's on a schedule thing. So my new team's not going to be recreated right now because I have it set to check every hour, but I can decide to change this. Maybe I want to check it, every 30 minutes, 15 minutes or so on, or maybe just daily, right? You can decide how quickly you want this to process. Then here, update the team creation. Now I can go ahead and run this. And then if I run this, what's going to happen, this logic app is going to run, it's going to wait for the trigger, and when it triggers, it's going to start to process. So that would take some time to do, but I'll show you one that was already created here with this request app. So what happens is this logic app will create the Teams team eventually, and when it does, there will be a notification. So there's a Teams team here, I call it ESPC Demo 2, and if I click on the general channel, I'm going to have a message here. Welcome to your team. This team was created by the Request a Team app. And I did another one. The first one here was ESPC Demo, which was created sooner. So this was all automatic. Went through an approval process and so on. So this one I think is really nice because one, you can run in the context of the service account, have these requests come through. So what you can do is you can lock down the availability for people to just go ahead and go in here and create teams. So to me, this is a great app to use to lock down and have greater control over your team's creation. Okay, that was request a team. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you, I had another, one of these apps actually had a Power BI, the building access had a Power BI template, but I had a few issues with this template, so I didn't implement it. That's something I'm also going to resolve and then raise an issue on GitHub so that can be fixed. But one of the other things you can do, let me make sure I'm in the right one. Nope, I've got, like I said, I have many, many tenants here. Okay, here we go. So I have a Power App here that I need to add this also to, I can add this to the slides that I will give Shane to update out. But we have, I did a presentation with Todd Baginski on this one, and we created, this is an older Power App, but we created this Power App which has some pretty cool logic behind it. This also leverages SharePoint, but it also leverages Power BI. So one thing you can do is you can embed Power BI directly within Teams. Let's see, what do I have one? Superheroes. So I can say, okay, I might have a Power BI report that I want to embed directly within Teams. And so in this case, I have that. And if I click the plus for the tile, I can click on the plus and then I can click on Power BI. But when I click on it, this is where I'd have to go find my workspaces and, choose, choose an item here and save it. And then you have another option here to work with it within the Power App. So here I have an actual report embedded in the Power App. Let's go to reports here. So this is embedded in the Power App here. And I actually have this Power App set up so that if you're not part of the admin group or approvers group, you won't see this reports link. But I am a part of that, so I see this reports link. So I have some cool things in here to say, okay, show this based on who this person, if this person belongs in this group or not. The other thing I have here is pretty cool, is which have the logic, which is cool to look at, the formulas, is showing this indicator here. So showing, okay, I have all 3 and showing 3 declined. But if I were to put in a new travel request here, I can put it in, vacation. I could say, okay, what's my start date? I'll go ahead and put on the 22nd. I just want to take a week off, or maybe say, spring break. I don't know when that is. My daughter's all grown up, but pretend like she's still a kid. Traveling to the moon. Anticipated cost, not going to cost my company anything. I just want to take the time off. Oh no, this is travel request. Never mind. I want to go to the moon. They are going to pay for this. So let's say, $5,000 here. Vacation or something like that. So I can send the request. When I send the request, it's going to get sent for approval, and this should redirect in a moment. There we go. So redirected, and now it's showing pending manager approval. So I see here I have pending manager approval, showing that I have one item here pending and declined. And if I go to my reports here, like I said, this is embedded directly within the Power App. So that's leveraging it. And I could also decide to have this Power App embedded just directly within a Teams channel and have that as a tab. So there's so many different things that you can do with the Power Platform. Last thing I want to talk about here is administering Teams for administering Power Platform apps in Teams. So a couple of things. One, like I said, when you go into the Teams, when you're in Teams and you go to apps, you'll see, actually this has changed, because first it says built for colleagues, and oh my goodness, I just noticed it's changed. That's right. It says built by your colleagues, built by your app. Actually, you know what? That still should be fine. Let me go back into here. Let's go into here, back into this one. I'm going to go into apps. And if I go into apps, here we go, built for your org. Never mind, this is right. Where I got confused is if I go to all apps, you see built for your org here, but let me go here. If you go to built for your org, this is where you're going to see the apps that are built for the organization, and then apps that were built by our colleagues. And of course, I'm the admin, so I can do anything in here. I have access to do everything. But what you can do is you can administer and lock things down. So what I would want to do is go to the Teams Admin Center. And then if I go to the Teams Admin Center here, real quickly, go here. And this is stuff Microsoft has documentation on that you can look at as well. I'm not going to dive into it. I'm just going to touch it briefly. But you have the ability to set permission policies and setup policies. So I can decide in permission policies, you're going to have a default global org, but I can decide to add a new one. And I could say, maybe I don't want the sales, people in the sales team to have use some of these apps, right? I can lock certain things down. So I can say, okay, custom apps. Because if you deploy any of these Power App templates, these are all considered a custom app, right? The Microsoft apps are the ones you have out of the box with Microsoft. Third-party apps are the third-party ones from the store. And then you have custom apps. Actually, let's see which one it would be under. No, it actually would be considered a third-party app. Let's see. Allow specific apps. Oh, you have to search for it. That's right. Nope, it wouldn't be custom. Give me a second, guys. Incentive. Yeah, there we go. Okay, nope, I was right. I was right the first time, wrong the second time. So the Power Platform, any of those solutions that I deployed, those are considered a custom app. That's right, I should have known better. Anything that's third-party apps, those all went through the app source, went through getting through submissions to Microsoft to get approval and so on. So of course it wouldn't be there. But here it's at the custom apps because you're just deploying things custom to your tenant. So here I can decide, you know what, or maybe I want to allow specific apps and block all others, or I can say block specific apps and allow others. So I can decide maybe I don't want them to be able to use the incentive apps. So I can set that, block it. So now what I'm saying is that they will be able to use all apps except this one. Okay, there we go. I'm going to save that. And when I save it, what I'll have the ability to do now is I can click on sales policy and I can manage users. And this is where I can put in users. So I know I have Penny. So I can say, you know what, Penny's part of the sales team. I want to block her from being able to use that app. So I'm putting her in this permission policy. So when Penny logs in, she won't have that app available for her to use. So those are things that you can lock down on the administration side. Okay, so that's what I showed you. I went in to my permission policies, or this is the other part with the manage apps, the other thing too, where you can turn things on and off. And that's just going here into manage apps here. And this is going to show all the apps, which is going to be, whoops, come on. This is going to show all your apps, which will be your, come on, sorry, this will show everything. It'll be third-party apps and as well as the custom apps. So if I did a search, I got the incentives application here. I can click on it here. And so I have that. And I can decide, you know what, maybe I want to turn it off temporarily. I can turn it off. But really, I try not to turn things off here unless there's something wrong with the app and I want to turn it off completely. But what I do is the recommended approach is to manage things through your permission policies. So what you saw, I went into my permission policy like you saw, I created a new one and added that. Okay, so that concludes the presentation. We did have some questions and I did put this together based on some questions that came through before, is if using Power BI within Power Apps, does the user have to have Power BI Pro license? Yes. Now, if you want to embed a Power BI report within Teams, that does not require it because you would have the ability to have that in your own My Workspace and you could just share that with people in your My Workspace. But if you have stuff in shared workspaces, then that requires a Power BI Pro license. And if you want to, embedding a Power BI report within Power Apps requires it to be in a shared workspace, or requires it to be in a workspace, so it does require a Pro license. Another question was, to be able to add the app to Teams, you had to import it to your normal Power environment. In order to do this, do you need a license? So when you create Power Apps, they're Canvas apps. I created Canvas apps with the normal connectors. I wasn't using any premium connectors. And by doing that, that's all included within my enterprise license. And so it's also included in all the E1 to E2. I meant to put E3 in there, my bad. So this is also, it's basically all the enterprise licenses, EDU licenses, and GCC, which that is a US thing. We have separate government tenants here in the US. But if you want to use premium connectors, the premium connectors do require the higher Power Apps license. Then another question, can approvals be integrated within Power Apps? And then this is one of the things that the questions was, out of the box, you cannot, out of the box, you can't just go and say, okay, I want to have this approval be sent in the Power App. But there's a workaround to this. And to do this, you can add logic in your Power App. You can build an actual interface within your Power App and have your actions and flow to be able to just have people approve and reject and do everything directly in the Power App. It does require some logic. Shane, I have a post up here for Shane Young. He's got an awesome, I think it's Shane that I posted here. Let's double check. So I've got this YouTube video of Shane. Yes, okay. So Shane Young, he's got this awesome video. He might have something newer now. I haven't found it. The other thing, you can find him on Twitter. Laura Rogers is another good one to follow. Wonder Laura, right here, Wonder Laura, she's awesome. I recommend following her YouTube channel and following Shane. You'll have some great helpful tips and things like that. But he did do one on Power Apps approval without using flow. And I believe this is the one that does putting the logic in so that you still have a flow, but you're not having to go in the flow interface to actually interact with it. So that's the video you can check out. And then the last question was how to disable, basically, how to disable users access from a SharePoint list for directly editing the data and redirecting them to Power Apps for making changes. Now, you can't just say, you can't do it to where the user goes to the SharePoint list and have that redirect. But what you can do is you can create a SharePoint custom form using Power Apps. So it won't be a standalone app. What it is it's similar to how you did stuff with InfoPath, where you could go to a SharePoint list and customize that form using InfoPath, and you'd launch that from the ribbon in SharePoint and so on. So now Microsoft replaced that with Power Apps. So I can go into my SharePoint list and decide to customize the form. And if I do that, that will, instead of using the out of the box form, it will become the Power App form. So that's one option. The other option you have is just to create a Power App, embed that somewhere in the site, and just, but that would be as if people weren't already using the list and don't know about the list, right? So where you can access that list. So that's kind of the way, the recommended approach to do it for that way for now. And last but not least, I have some helpful resources for you. One is the link to the developer program. Like I said, you could sign up for that for free. The other link is for the app templates that you could download. And like I said, that has all the different app templates for bots, messaging extension, but also all the Power Platform templates. And then also I have documentation there for the Power Platform apps, just to kind of give you more of a breakdown. And that's it. Thank you for attending.
Super, Christina. Thank you so much for that presentation. Yes, usually we would do the questions and answers part now, but you seem to have answered all the questions that come in your slides, so that's absolutely great. Christina, could I ask you to just bring up your slide with your contact details on it, just in case anybody just wants to reach out to you? I think you had it at the very start.
I did.
Maybe if you just bring that up. Super. So if anybody wants to reach out to you, here's your contact details again.
Perfect.
Super. Christina, on behalf of the ESPC community, thank you so much for taking the time today to do this webinar. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Christina. Okay, everybody, that is the end of today's webinar. A big thank you again to Christina Wheeler. Please join us for ESPC 21 online. Some details are here on the screen, which is happening on the 1st and 2nd of June, 2021. To be a part of this event, simply register today for free. We also just announced our keynote, and full details are at sharepointeurope.com. That's it for today. Thank you for joining us. Take care and goodbye.